Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Jazz. If you are not new here, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me in another video. And if you are not already, please hit that subscribe button, guys. I'm trying to get my subscribers up, so please help me out. And if you like my video, subscribe and share with a friend. So today we are going to be talking about interlocking. So that is my chosen form of maintenance for my locks. Most people within Microlocs do use interlocking. You may hear them refer it to as retying, retightening. There's a few different terms for it, but it's basically all just interlocking. So today I'm going to give you guys some tips about what I do when I interlock. Now, this is not the end all be all. This is exactly how you do it. Tutorial of interlocking, but I'm just going to come into you guys and share with you what I do for my interlocking process. So first, I'm just going to go over some tips that I follow when I interlock, and then I'm going to include some footage of me actually interlocking. The very first time I was doing maintenance on my Microlocs, I actually tried the palm roll method, and I did post a video about that. It was really more of a vlog style, just really talking about my experience with palm rolling, and some people in the comments were not happy with that video, even though in the description box I explicitly said that this is not a tutorial. Reading is essential, guys. But there were some people, and I got a decent amount of dislikes on that video because people thought it was a tutorial. So since there were so many people that were unhappy with that video, not that I really care, I just wanted to make sure that my communication is on point. But yeah, in this video, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna provide you guys with some tips. I'm gonna talk through some interlocking tips, and then I'm going to sit down and record some footage of me doing some of my hair. It's not gonna be a lot. It's probably gonna be 5 or so locks, just because it's really repetitive and it takes me a really long time to do my whole head. So I'm not gonna do that all on camera. So yeah, that's how this video is gonna work, just so we're clear. All right, so let's get started on the talk portion. So first I'm going to explain what interlocking is. So interlocking is a method that most people with Microlocs do use. And basically what it is you use a tool. Some people use a crochet needle. I think some people even use just their hands. But I use this tool that I got from Amazon. And this is what it looks like. So this is the tool that I use. It comes in this cute little bag too. It's super neat. I'll link it in the box below, in the the description box below, just so you can see it. So basically what interlocking is you take the end of the lock and you are pulling it through the root or the base of the lock where the new growth is, and it basically just forms the new growth into a uniform locked pattern. So that's the basic gist of what it is. And yeah, so most people use a 2, 3, or 4-point rotation system. I use a 2-point rotation system because I'm a little bit lazy and I ain't got time for all of them. It's a lot. So if you're interested in seeing what a 3 or 4-point rotation, there are so many videos on YouTube. Go look it up, but this video was about a 2-point rotation. So basically when I do my interlocking, I pull the end of my lock from the top to the bottom. So some people refer it to as north to south, and then I pull it through, and then I do it east to west. So I'm pulling it from one side of the lock to the other side of the lock. So once you see me do it, it will make more sense. It's kind of hard to explain in words, and if you've never seen it before, this probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but you'll see it later. But yeah, there are people that follow 3 rotation, 4-point rotation. People say that if you want a tighter, more compressed look, then you'll want to do a 4-point rotation. But if you don't want it to be too compressed, too tight, then a 2-point rotation is better for you. So I use a 2-point rotation mostly because I'm lazy. I remember when I first started maintaining my Microlocs, I was really intimidated by interlocking. And if you've never done it before, that really makes sense. It does seem to be a really complicated method, But once you learn it, once you practice it, once you have done it the first 2-3 times, it really becomes easier and easier and less intimidating. So if you are getting microlocs or you're thinking about getting microlocs, don't let the fact that you have to interlock keep you from doing it, because you will learn. There are so many great tutorials out there on YouTube. Just research, practice, and you will be fine, I promise. But it also is very important that if you mess up with interlocking, it is kind of hard to undo. I have done it before, and it is hard to undo. You can undo it, but it just takes a lot. So when you're doing your rotations, you just have to make sure that you don't want to repeat the same pattern twice. So in other words, you don't want to go north to south and then go north to south again, because then you can create holes in your locks like that. So you just want to make sure that you're alternating. Say you are doing 2-point rotation, you want to make sure you go north to south, east to west, north to south, east to west. You don't want to go north to south, east to west, because then you can create holes in your lock. So just make sure that you always need to alternate. And one of my top tips is to take your time. There's no need to rush this. Especially if you're new, don't try to rush through your interlocking sessions. It is time consuming anyway, but if you mess up, it's going to be even more time consuming because you have to undo that rotation. Like I said, it takes a long time, and that's just not what you want. So just take your time, because at the end of the day, it's honestly actually saving you time because you're gonna mess up less. So just take your time. Another tip that you are going to see when you actually see me doing it is to separate each, the locks, the surrounding locks around the lock that you're doing. Separate them with these tiny duckbill clips. And that's super helpful because it's going to keep the other strands of hair from the other locks. It's going to keep those hairs from intertwining with the lock that you're working on. Because if those little hairs, it can be just even one little tiny individual hair. If one little hair gets caught, then you can risk having to merge 2 locks, and that's not what you want. So just make sure that you are separating each individual lock, just so you can really isolate the lock that you're working with, and you won't have to worry about merging other locks. And then another tip that I really want to stress, get on a consistent interlocking schedule. Don't let your new growth go out of control too much, because it's just going to take a really long time. It's time consuming anyway. So the longer you let your hair grow out, the longer the interlocking session is going to take, because obviously you have more hair to interlock. So just get on a nice consistent schedule that's best for you. It doesn't have to be 4 weeks. It doesn't have to be 6 weeks. Whatever's best for you, just make sure that it's consistent. So I think that's about all I'm going to cover in this section of the video. If there's anything else that I forget, I'll add it at the end after the footage of me actually interlocking. But I think that is the main basic top tips that I can provide when it comes to interlocking. So stay tuned. I'm going to give you guys a visual of what it really looks like to interlock. Stay tuned. Okay, y'all, so I almost completed a whole freaking lock, and it turns out that I wasn't recording, so I'm gonna have to start this over. That's the worst, y'all. If anybody else records videos that's watching this, y'all know how irritating that is. So I'm gonna start over for you guys. I think I'm probably gonna do a voiceover for this, but yeah, I just had to let y'all know that I was almost completed a whole freaking lock and I didn't even press the record button. Anyway, let's proceed. Okay, so first you want to start off by taking the tool, the needle, and you're going to slide your lock through the eye or the little hole at the end through of the tool. And then I like to slide it down towards the base. I then take the tip, and for this rotation I'm going east to west. So left to right, right to left, whichever way you decide. And I'm going to pull it through the new growth. Then I'm going to take it. Remember, I'm alternating, so I'm going to go north to south. I almost completed this lock, so I only had like 2 more rotations left. So at this point, this one's complete. I always like to end my locks from north to south, so that's always my final rotation. So I know when I go to my next interlocking session, I'm starting with east to west, because remember, you always want to alternate. Alright, so I'm grabbing the next one, and then as you can see, I have my little metal duckbill clips just to isolate all the other locks, to make sure that I'm not grabbing any hairs, any stray hairs, so that the surrounding locks won't merge with the one I'm working on. Alright, so I'm going to start the same way. Remember, since I end off with north to south after every lock final rotation, I'm going to start off going east to west, left to right, right to left, whichever way you choose, because you don't have to do left to right, you can do right to left. Whichever way you choose, it just needs to be horizontal. Same thing with north to south. You can go south to north if you choose. Alright, so I'm starting east to west. I'm going to slide it through the middle of the square of the base of the lock. And then I also want to stress that whenever you are, after you pull the needle, you initially insert the needle, make sure that you are pulling the needle to the top of the new growth. So you want to pull it all the way through until the point where you kind of feel that part of the lock that's already interlocked. You want to make sure that you pull it to the very top of the new growth right when you hit that, and then you pull it through so you don't create knots. I hope that made sense. So if that didn't make sense, drop a comment and I'll try to clarify. But yeah, at this point, now I'm back to sideways. So I'm going to pull it sideways, east to west, west to east, whichever applies to you, whichever way you decide to go. Pull it to the top of the new growth, pull it through, and then I'm gonna go my north to south direction, right through the middle of the base, pull it to the top of the new growth, pull through, and then me personally, I always end up going north to south. Okay, and then always just remember, if you're starting to get really close to your scalp and there's not much new growth left, don't force it. If you feel like you're really having to force that final rotation, then don't do it, because you don't want it to be too tight. So if you're nearing that, if you end on like north to south like I do, and you're starting to run out of new growth, maybe don't try to push that last sideways east to west rotation. Just end it there so that you're not getting that interlocking too tight. Okay, see me separating with my duckbill. That's a must, just so those little hairs, like I said, don't merge. Again, gonna slide it through. Show you guys a little closer here. And then again, I'm starting with my sideways rotation. Pull it through to the top of the new growth. Pull it through. And then I always kind of like to check myself to make sure there's no knots or anything. I just sometimes, ever so often, like to run my finger along the base of the lock and the part I just interlocked to make sure that everything feels smooth as it should. So I just like to double check my work. And then remember, like I said, take your time. I'm getting a little faster because this is like the 4th or 5th time I'm doing it, so it's kind of becoming second nature to me at this point. wouldn't definitely call myself a pro yet. I'm getting there though, but it definitely gets easier and faster every single time that I do it. So, like I said, it can be intimidating. I was very intimidated when I first started, but just keep doing it, keep watching videos, keep practicing, and it will become a whole lot easier. Now, for the sake of this video, this is not, I don't usually do my hair here in this bathroom. This is just for video's sake. But typically when I do I sit down to do a full session, I'll sit in my bathroom. I sit in front of so I roll my chair in the bathroom. I do have like a rolly chair that I use. I'll roll it in my bathroom. I'll sit down in front of my full-length mirror that I have hanging on my bathroom door, and then I will turn away from the mirror that's above my sink, just so I have two mirrors, so that I can, when I get to the back of my head, I can see what I'm doing. So that's a pro tip. If you need to, use two mirrors, one in front of you, one behind you, so once you get to the back of your head, you can see what you're doing. Some people can do it without looking. I'm not at that level yet. I definitely still need a mirror to see what I'm doing. So if you're a newbie, I would definitely suggest using two mirrors, one in front and one behind, so once you get to the back of the head, you can see what you're doing. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and stop there. Like I said, I'm not about to do my whole head because me personally, I split it amongst several days just because I don't like sitting in one place too long, and I would rather like go hard for like 2 hours and then be done for the day, 2 more hours the next day, 2 more hours the next day. Typically I can get it done in around 3, maybe 4 days, depending on how fast or how slow I'm going. So if you are someone that just likes to get things over with, maybe you can just sit down all day one day and get it out of the way. Like I said, me personally, that's not what I like to do. But yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. I would just do that around my whole head. When it gets to the part in the back where I can't really see, I do have a full-length mirror that I will put behind me so that I can see what I'm doing in the back. So that is another suggestion that I would do. If you are someone that can't, especially if you're just now starting, you're gonna want to see what you are doing. So I would suggest putting a mirror behind you, having a mirror in front of you so you can see what you're doing in the back. So that's super helpful. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. If you have any questions, comments, any of that, definitely leave them in the comments box below. Subscribe, like, share with a friend, follow me on Instagram. Most importantly, subscribe, y'all. I'm trying to get my subbies up. But yeah, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.